How's it going? My name is Cameron, also known as Venus Theory, and in this video, I'm here to show you how I like to master my tracks using PSP plugins. Now, I by no means consider myself to be a mastering engineer, but I think these plugins do a fantastic job of making a nice, high-quality master accessible to anyone. So, let's dive in and get started. Alright, so in this video, like I said, I'm going to be showing you my mastering chain. This is the track before all the mastering stuff is turned on. And once we turn all of the mastering effects on, it sounds like this. So a pretty loud and aggressive song overall, but it still has a nice kind of dynamic feel to it, and that is just because I don't like to really squish things with compression. I kind of just like to bring up the overall volume. So the first thing I always throw on my master is the Noble Q, and this is a trick I talked about in the drum video. So I'm just bringing up a little bit of low end and then a little bit of air up top, like super duper high frequency stuff in a very, very subtle amount. You know, you might play with these values, but the important thing is this little guy right here. So I just bring this up one tick and it adds a nice bit of kind of color and flavor to the whole mix. And I swear this makes all the difference in the world with the end result. I don't know what it is about Noble Q, but man, this just really brings a song to life really quickly. So after that, the classic Vintage Warmer 2. This is just barely touching the mix. I'm not doing a whole lot to it, so I just drove it up a little bit and then adjusted the knee until I'm grabbing just about 2 dB here. On like the really peaky parts. Engage the fat switch, that's important. This just really makes things sound a lot better. It's oversampling, I believe is what it is, and I think it does something else as well. I'm not entirely sure, but the fat switch is really nice. After that neon mix here, this is just kind of coloring the final mix just a bit, just bringing up a bit more top end, bit more low end, and then cutting out a little bit around 200 to 300, somewhere in there. This isn't necessary on every mix. In this case, it just needed a little bit of that kind of final balancing in the levels. So the final thing on the master chain is going to be the limiter. This is PSP Xenon. So this is the second order filter. I enabled that oversampling to operate in true peak mode, just so I can make sure my LUFS values are where I want them to be. Transient mode on A, and then just kind of played with the attack time until it felt right. In this case, we might open it up just a bit more, just so that the transients of the drums really kind of knock through quite a bit. Release, just kind of left it where it was, and then adjusted the input gain level just a bit. Honestly, we could probably stand to take that down to maybe 3 dB, and I'm not really trying to push this limiter. All I'm doing is just bringing up that extra bit of level just to get the song to sit at an acceptable volume. In the end here, once I'm ready to do the actual final export, I would enable quantize and just adjust the bit depth, noise shaping, and I usually leave the auto black off. The leveler here I don't touch. Link I don't really mess with either, but this is kind of the final setting, and just kind of gives that final layer of polish. And like I said, I'm really just bringing up volume. I'm not trying to slam this limiter. I think the initial value I had was +5. And you can see even with that, I'm just barely touching the final limiter. But that is really it for my mastering chain. This is usually what I use on every single mix, just because it works and it really makes things sound good. And then, you know, just adjusting a couple parameters of all those plugins really to make the final product, and I think it ends up sounding really solid every time. And that's it for this video, so thanks for watching, and if you want to check these plugins out for yourself, you can find them today at PSPaudioware.com.